It's 8 a.m. on the nose, and I am in position. I'm seated alone at a conference room table. I got my game face on. It's go time. And one by one, they come in and they sit down, and one by one, I fire them. Every 15 minutes for 4 hours, and by noon, I had fired 16 of the 22 people on my team at work. So my boss takes me to lunch, and she thanks me for a hard job well done, and then tells me that my job has been eliminated also. So yeah, bad day at work, I guess. But for me, really, it was just another big turd in this losing streak that I had been going through for the last couple years. And when the carnage is over, I just want to go back up to my office and hide, because I know it's going to be quiet up there, because I just fired everyone. But I'm met up there by this guy named Keith, young guy, one of the survivors, and he sits there patiently, and he just lets me unload about the last couple of years of my life. I get divorced, get laid off, my dad dies, I joined Match.com for some reason, I get remarried again way too soon, I get divorced again, not soon enough. I get laid off again. Hell, somewhere in there, I found time to get run over by a Honda. And Keith takes it all in, and he's a man of few words. He says, "Dude, that's quite a slump. What are you going to do?" And most of the time, I don't understand a word that comes out of his face hole. But this time, he makes sense. Because I played baseball, and I know that when you're in a slump, you got to do something deliberate, something different, something crazy to just get it out of your head. And for me, what always worked was to do something stupid, something dangerous, like crowding the plate or leaning into a pitch. Because I tell you, there's nothing like a fastball coming at your face to make you think more quickly. Sorry. But see, the problem with being an introverted, overeducated white male is that really for the last 20 years of my life, I didn't really need to do much of anything to get ahead. And so when the situation finally calls for action, I'm a little out of practice. And the best I can come up with is I start riding my bike back and forth to work, which I guess is slightly dangerous, but really I needed something bigger, something inspired. And where does a dork like me go for inspiration? National Public Radio. And when Story Slams came to Louisville, I knew that I had to do it, and that there was no logical reason why. I'm not a writer. I'm not a teacher. I've never acted. I don't aspire to be these things because I kind of like a steady paycheck. And I don't get up here because my life is full of adventure. No, I'm telling you a story about telling stories. But to me, it felt right, because to me, it felt kind of crazy, and it felt dangerous. And so I knew I had to do it. And so I show up that first Story Slam, and I'm scared shitless. And of course, my name gets picked. And I didn't win. That wasn't really the point. I don't even remember telling my story, but what I do remember was stepping down off the stage into darkness, into a room full of strangers. And as I make my way back to my seat, I get a pat on the back and a way to go from every one of those strangers. And it reminded me of what it felt like to break a slump in baseball. But this was not baseball, this was my life. And I needed to make sure that that slump was good and dead. So the very next day, as I'm riding my bike home from work, I'm not thinking about what a shitty day I had. I'm thinking about that next Story Slam. And not just surviving it, but winning it. And I'm so deep in thought, and I'm so completely obsessed with this, that I don't notice the car door that opens 20 feet in front of my bike. And I sure as heck didn't see the 4-year-old boy who was coming out of that door. Like that. I swerve, and I miss that boy, but I got that door. And I go head over heels over the handlebar. I do a complete flip, And as I hit the pavement and I slide out into traffic, I have reason to worry that maybe my slump is not dead yet. Somebody drags me to the curb, and I sit there, and I guess I'm a little bit stunned because it takes me a while to notice that the 4-year-old boy from the back seat is now sitting next to me at the curb. And he doesn't say anything, but after a minute, he just reaches out and he gives me a fistful of Spider-Man Band-Aids. Because I'm bleeding pretty good. And that kid must have thought that I was insane because I just sat there smiling, just smiling like a fool. Because in that moment, I'm not worried about my boo-boos. I'm not worried about my busted bike. All I'm thinking about is, what a great story this could make. And that is when the slump died for good. Thank you.